Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, your master of martial arts mayhem, X7, the host of Zenorama, the podcast of heroes and monsters. And as you might have guessed, today we're going to be talking about a DVD review. The DVD is from 2001. The VHS tape was released in 1992. And while we're doing this, maybe we'll start this way. So, yes, that is Carl Douglas, the beginning of Kung Fu Fighting. I want to say that was from 1973, maybe 74. Generally a little behind the times, but there you go. Here was the disclaimer. I don't remember if this was on the VHS tape. I had both. Good Times released the VHS tape once again in LP mode, the 4-hour speed. It's astounding to think now that that was a thing. So the quality of the DVD was a bit better because it was who knows what it was sourced from. You'll see. You'll see. So this is how it starts out once again, and then this. So it starts out with a featurette. It's mostly the first 25 minutes are about Bruce Lee. You get a featurette, the making of Enter the Dragon, which is cool. It's really great to see the behind the scenes stuff. Very enjoyable. Just because you don't see this. This is something that I don't know where they would have aired it. Maybe in a theater to get you excited about it. Oh, look at that jacket Bruce is wearing. God, that's early 70s. What the hell? And that was like the height of style. Um, it is nice. I believe it's been show on the Enter the Dragon DVDs and Blu-rays that it has. I'm not 100% sure, but I do think it is on there. This little featurette, all the behind the scenes stuff with the directors, the actors. I think John Saxon. I don't know who else is still alive from that movie, but anymore. And then it goes into a little biography about Bruce Lee, and we get to the Green Hornet, which everybody was kung fu fighting. So yes, of course, I had to play at least that much of it. Brant Van Williams there. So the movie or the series ran in 26 episodes and was a little too close to the actual radio program, too close to the source material, because they could have spiced it up a bit with a couple of masked villains or something, and they did do it a few times, and of course the crossover with Bruce Wayne, Batman and Robin, which was wonderful because I love crossovers, even though Colonel Gum was not the most exciting supervillain. I should have thought that through just a tiny bit more. But there were two feature films compiled and not very well. I mean, they're fun to watch because it's a lot of action, but they just kind of splice the episodes together. Here's the praying mantis. That's Mako there fighting Bruce Lee. So that was fun. And then they go through a little more of that, but the two movies, they could have had Van Williams and Wendy Wagner do some interstitials. They could have hired them to do that. That would have helped bring them together a little more, some new footage. But be that as it may. So once the Bruce Lee stuff is over, they do show a big chunk of the Big Boss or the Chinese Connection. And I don't know. I get the U.S. titles confused. Lo Lee there and Five Fingers of Death. And then we go see Fist of Fury, aka the Big Boss. So they blew it with the titles. Then they talk about Return of the Dragon a bit. And look at who gets his own American champion, Chuck Norris, who gets beat by Bruce Lee. So all that stuff about how tough Chuck is, He doesn't tough enough to beat Bruce Lee.
The ancient land of China, schools in the martial arts were a way of life, but none were as lethal as the one we are about to reveal.
So you have heard the five deadly venoms, and but it's the longer one. That the trailers, there are a bunch of these trailers that they show on here. They go into trailers here. I like this. Some of the finest nonstop action highlights. They're showing trailers, which have a lot of great action in them, but they're trailers. They're not like parts of the movie that are wonderful and you should see. They do kind of want you to make you watch the movie, but some of them, I've seen a lot of them, and not all of them are worth watching, but they're pretty good. I mean, overall. This one is not worth watching. It's the one that leads it off. Bruce Lee fights back from the grave. No, he doesn't.
Five deadly venoms.
The trailer is pretty good, but I've seen the movie. I don't want to see it again. Duel of the Iron Fist is a Shaw Brothers movie. It looks pretty good. I've watched it once and I don't remember much about it. Black Dragon starred Jim Kelly there. We're going to go through these because there's a lot of them, and I don't want to spend the whole night here. This was just a fun picture from there. Some of them will just have the titles like this. I've seen Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, starring Bruce Lee, and who is a fine martial artist and should have been a bigger star, except that he had to be a Bruce Lee clone, which is sad for him. And yeah, because Bruce faked his own death. This is one of the first movies that said that. Good thinking, guys. Angela Mao Ying, and I think that's a picture from it. So at the time that the VHS was released in 1992, DVD was a dream. I mean, not even a dream. It wasn't a thing. And most of these movies were pan and scan available. If they were available, pan and scan, and probably just beat up prints. This is The Stranger and the Gunfighter, starring Lee Van Cleef and Lo Lee, which I've seen and I have a copy of and haven't watched in ages and probably should, but it moved pretty slowly. Triple Irons, aka the new one-armed swordsman, but they just named it after the three-sectional staff, starring David Chang, who did his best, was not the greatest martial artist, but he was a good actor.
A secret society, each man unknown to the other, identified only by a mask, representing one of nature's deadly assassins.
Here we have the trailer for Shogun Assassin, or, well, the first two movies, Lightning Swords of Death, Toho Company. So this actually you can tell the ones that get a theatrical release because they're in a widescreen mode like this. I've seen this movie once or twice. It's not my favorite. It's just not my bag. Chinatown Kid, also the same story as Disciples of Shaolin, also starring Fu Sheng. I didn't care for either of them. And here's this is how they transferred from one to another here on the DVD. I think they did it on the VHS. I don't remember anymore. And now we get to the five deadly venoms.
The snake, the scorpion, the lizard, and the toad.
There you go. There you go, Frog. There's the toad right there. So shout out for you if you're listening, Agent Frog. More five deadly venoms. Just because.
Five deadly venoms, five masters in the martial arts, each man pitted against the other in savage combat.
So that's obviously not a man. That's Evelyn Kraft, who was the star of Goliathon, a.k.a. originally the Mighty Peking Man, or should it be Mighty Beijing Man now. And she starred in The Deadly Angels. Guess what show was on television in the States at that point in time? I'd like to see this again, too. I don't know that it has been released. It has to be out there somewhere, right? Somebody's got it. I'd like to see it again in a nice copy. Mine was not good. Spearmen of Death or Flag of Iron.
Each trained in their own vicious method of killing.
So Four Assassins we've talked about, or at least seen. That's Fu Sheng there, and the Beardy's in it, and just it's a great movie. It's originally titled Marco Polo. 10 Tigers of Guangdong now. is an interesting movie. It's a little crowded and it's done in flashback here and there. So it's a little confusing unless you're really paying attention. Three Avengers, also, these are all just trailers starring Bruce Lee again. He's in several of them. Five Shaolin Masters, or as we might see it here, now these Jim Kelly movies I haven't seen. I'd be interested, but modern martial arts movies in the modern day just don't appeal to me that much overall, really.
They practiced a special kind of kung fu, killing by instinct, with machine-like precision, lightning speed, and ruthless power.
Ninja Warlord, I know nothing about. Savage 5 is a quasi remake of the Magnificent Seven or Seven Samurai, one of the many. Uh, it's got more action in the trailer than I remember being in the movie until the very end. But I don't remember disliking it, but I thinking it was a slog, bit of a slog to get through. And Executioners of Death, one of the many Hung Si Kwan movies. That this is one that Lau Kar Lung he
As
did.
ferocious and deadly as the venomous creatures from which it took its name, and whose stings were always fatal. Kill or be killed.
And look, Golden Arm. And we have talked about that, which has been my biggest, the biggest view of the channel. And by the way, speaking of the channel, please like, share, subscribe. But there won't be really a poll in here, but you can leave a comment and always hit that bell so you'll notified every day when we have new content. And the kid with the golden arm is my most popular video so far that I've done about that movie. So we'll see if Kung Fu gets us more of these again or more views. But this is fun. Good Times also did one about Fantastic Dinosaurs of the movies, which is very similar. And we'll talk about that in the next day or two. Do a little review of that. I just love this of him just disintegrating the nine ring sword there because that's just impressive. They did a good job. I know nothing about Kung Fu Conspiracy, Street Gangs of Hong Kong.
None given in a kung fu epic as brutal as nature itself.
Speaking of brutal, how about Chuck Norris's 70s porno stash there? Chuck's a furry guy, and you'd think in these movies that he's like 8 feet tall, or at least 6. And if you see him when he's fighting Bruce Lee, he might be 5'6". Slaughter in San Francisco. I've not seen that one, but he's the villain in that because you can tell. There's some of him lounging around in his. Really, Hugh Hefner would have been. He'd have been right at home at the Playboy Clubhouse back then. Playboy Clubhouse? Playboy Mansion. That's what it was. Don't know anything about the Tattooed Dragon, but I did like the. And then when I have seen when Taekwondo strikes, it's also known as Sting of the Dragon Masters. Junri, that's him right there, who looked like he was 500 years old, but he made this movie, Grandmaster of Taekwondo. Also stars Angela Mao Ying as well, since Hapkido is a Korean martial art. Her name is not Kung Fu, but Mao Ying. Don't know anything about Killer from Shangtung.
Five Deadly Venoms, survival of the fittest, and kung fu action at its very best.
Five Deadly Venoms is a movie about. It's a movie with kung fu in it, martial arts in it. It's not really about martial arts. That was the difference between Chang Che and Lau Kar Lung. Is that one Chang Che made movies with martial arts in them. Lau Kar Lung made movies about martial arts. So, and they're both made good ones, and they both made some stinkers. This is from Shaolin Challenges Ninja, or Challenge of Heroes of the East, as it's known these days, which is a great movie. And I had to include a couple there because it's just one. Here's the first flying guillotine movie.
The most spectacular martial arts program of the year.
There it is.
Five Deadly Venoms, 5 stinging ways to die.
That's as good a picture as I could get. It's a little more ornate than the ones that would come later, like from Master of the Flying Guillotine or One Arm Boxer versus Flying Guillotine. This is from Challenge of the Masters, where they're about to vie for fireworks. Once again, a movie about kung fu. It's really good, though. I didn't like it at first, but I really enjoy it now. It's one of the Gordon Lau being Wong Fei Hung, a young Wong Fei Hung. He's more serious in this one than he was in Martial Club.
Pick your poison. You'll be stung to your seats. Don't miss 5 Deadly Venoms, a Shaw Brothers presentation.
For Invincibles is similar to Mortal Kombat or Return of the 5 Deadly Venoms, or the original title, which is Crippled Avengers, because there's 4 of them and they all have a handicap. One of them is legless or armless, literally. I think that's the one. I don't know. And then we end up finally with Bruce Lee, His Last Days, His Last Nights, starring Danny Lee or Lee Shushen of Inframan and, again, Mighty Peking Man fame, and also the Battle Wizard. But there you go. Also, look at there. It's the new logo. I'm so excited about it. So we'll be seeing that more often now. And I really like it. So that is it, my fellow agents. So until our next assignment, this is X7. Grab your nunchucks and get ready to go kung fu fighting. But this is X7 signing off.
Ancient land of China, schools in the martial arts were a way of life, but none were as lethal as the one we are about to reveal. 5 Deadly Venoms. A secret society, each man unknown to the other, identified only by a mask representing one of nature's deadly assassins: the centipede, the snake, the scorpion, the lizard, and the toad. 5 Deadly Venoms, 5 masters in the martial arts, each man pitted against the other in savage combat, and each trained in their own vicious method of killing. They practiced a special kind of kung fu, killing by instinct, with machine-like precision, lightning speed, and ruthless power, as ferocious and deadly as the venomous creatures from which it took its name, and whose stings were always fatal. Kill or be killed. 5 Deadly Venoms. No mercy asked, none given, in a kung fu epic as brutal as nature itself. 5 Deadly Venoms, survival of the fittest and kung fu action at its very best in the most spectacular martial arts program of the year. 5 Deadly Venoms, 5 stinging ways to die. Pick your poison. You'll be stung to your seats. Don't miss 5 Deadly Venoms, a Shaw Brothers.